Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. This is the first video in what I hope to be a short little series of paper packaging or pretty packaging. As many of you know, I'm very active in the swap community and we're always sending goodies back and forth to each other, and I love to make the package even more special by making some pretty packaging. And so I came up with this zipper pouch. This is totally made out of paper and a real zipper. You don't have to have a sewing machine. If you watch the video, I'm going to give you some alternatives to a sewing machine along the way. But what I really love about this project is I can make the packaging match what I'm sending. So it all kind of goes together, and I think that's really fun. And I also think this is a great way that you can package small little gifts for each other. You know, can you imagine opening a little zipper pouch in your Christmas stocking with some goodies in it, or a birthday gift, or put a card in a zipper pouch, and what a fun surprise that will be. So this is just the first of many, or at least a few, but I hope you enjoy this tutorial. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need are 2 rectangles and a zipper. You want the rectangles or squares, I guess it could be either one. You want to make sure that whatever you're trying to package is going to fit inside them and fit inside your zipper opening. So for this one, this is a little bit larger than I needed, but I like to send some extra goodies with it, so I made it a little bit bigger than I needed. But for this one, I'm just doing I think this was about 5.5 by 5-inch bag. Now, if you're going to do the no-sew version, I highly recommend this Fabric Fuse by Thermoweb. I like this over other fabric glues that I've used because this goes on, it's a white liquid, but it dries clear. It goes on kind of like an Elmer's school glue. It just goes on really nicely, where some of the other clear fabric glues that I've used are stringy, they're really thick, and it's really easy to get out of control. So if you're going to do the no-sew version, you're going to follow along in the video, except for where I sew, you're going to glue, obviously. So the first thing we're going to do is be gluing our papers just like so. You're going to line them up just past the zipper pull, and you'll see that as we go into the sewing version. But what you're going to do is put the glue right along the zipper, line up your paper, and then you're just going to have to walk away and let it dry until you can maneuver it. And I would say it's going to take a good couple of hours to let it dry. But again, I really like this Fabric Fuse and it works great on paper. So let's get into the sewing. We're going to take it over to our sewing machine. And the first thing you're going to do is line up your paper just past that zipper pull. You can see there's just a little metal stop on your zipper, and you just want it to be, the paper to be lined up just past it. I'm going to unzip the zipper a little bit, and then I'm just going to take a binder clip or a Wonder Clip or whatever you have and just fasten that down so that I know that end is going to end up past that zipper pull. And then I'm going to swing this around, and again, I don't sew on a normal basis except for on paper, and I know I could put my zipper foot in, but I just don't take the time to do that. I'm just going to use my regular presser foot on my sewing machine. We're not doing anything fantastic here, and we're going to turn this around, and I have my stitch length on about a 3. I have my tension on 1, and I'm going to line this up, put your presser foot down, and then I'm just going to use the hand crank and stitch a couple of stitches just to get it going. And I'm just turning it by hand using the hand crank on the side, and I'm just going to do a couple of stitches forward, and then I'm going to hit the reverse button and go backwards, and then you're just going to sew down the side. And I'm going to speed this up, but I'll let you see as we get this going. There I went forward, now I'm going backwards, and this just keeps it from unraveling really easily. And again, this is made out of paper. This bag isn't made to last forever, and so I'm not worried about it being perfect. As you get to the end, you're just going to remove your clip, make sure your zipper is lined back up, and go right off the edge of your paper, and then you're going to back stitch. Really easy. Okay, now you're left with your zipper. It should look something like this. And the next thing we need to do is line it up again. We're going to line up on that zipper pull end. Make sure our paper is lined up because this is going to be our bag. So you want to make sure it's lined up with that other side. You're going to clip it. And then I like to unzip the zipper. My zipper is longer than my project. I like it. That works perfectly fine with me. And again, we're just going to take it to the sewing machine and sew down the side. Remember to do a couple stitches forward and then a few stitches back just to secure that seam, and do the same on the other end. Now I'm going to speed this up because I'm just running the stitch down the other side. And now I like to go back and this is an unnecessary step, this is totally optional, but I just went and ran another seam down it just for additional decorative touch. So I have 2 seams going down. Okay, and when you're finished, you're going to trim off your edges, all your strings and threads, and you should be left with something that looks approximately like this. You can see we've already got our zipper forming. Now, if you're not going to sew this, you're going to fold it like this and glue those edges on the inside. So you're putting the wrong sides together, your zipper's facing on the outside. If you're going to sew it, put your edges together and secure it with some binder clips or paper clips or whatever you want. If you're sewing it, go around these 3 edges and right up to that zipper and over the zipper. You got to make sure that you have the end of that zipper so that it won't come off when we cut it. And I'll have a little segment at the end of this video to show you how you can finish off that zipper if you are not using the sewing method. But for right now, we're going to secure this with some binder clips. Line up all your edges. You can use as many clips that you feel comfortable with. I really just use 1, but if you want to secure those sides just to make sure they don't shift, you can do so. And now we're just going to take this over to the sewing machine, and we're going to line up and sew right across that seam right there. And you can actually just go right over the zipper. I actually went back and did this as a last step. But if you're sewing, we've got to do something to keep that zipper from flying right off the end once we trim the zipper down. So you can go ahead and sew right over that now, or you can start at that first seam and sew and then go back like I did and finish that afterwards. So here we go. We're just going to sew around the 3 sides. Okay, so I just used the edge of the presser foot to line up my paper, and I'm just quickly sewing through the 3 sides. Again, you want to go forward and backward at the beginning and end of your stitching. Make sure you don't go across the top. You're just going across those 3 edges. And then you're left with our bag that looks about like this. We have one thing left to do. We need to secure that zipper so that when we open it, the zipper pull doesn't pull right off the edge. So I'm going to go back over to my sewing machine, and on that open edge, I'm going to line up my seam and just go back and forward 2 or 3 times right over that zipper. And as long as you're not using a metal zipper, this is no problem. If you are using a metal zipper, then you want to refer to the clip at the end of this video where I show you an alternative way to shorten the zipper and create a zipper stop. So here is our bag. We're almost finished. All that's left to do is to trim off the zipper, and it should cut with some scissors. And unfortunately my scissors are loose, so I'm going to switch to a different pair here real quick. And that should just trim right off. And there you have your finished paper zipper bag. And these are so cute for sending packages, even gifts. all kinds of fun things you could make these custom made pouches, and you know, nobody's going to care if you throw them away. A little hint, keep an eye out at your fabric stores or secondhand stores for zippers. I see them all the time. I just picked up a whole bunch of them at Joann's that were marked on clearance. They were just various different colors. I bought a big package of them on Amazon, and I'll have those linked in the video below this description, as well as the sewing machine that I use and the fabric fuse. And if you would like to see a full no-sew tutorial on using the fabric fuse, I have another video. I'll link that right here, and it'll be linked in the video descriptions below. But I'm using faux leather in that video, but you can do the exact same thing with paper. So I'll have that linked next. And here is just a real quick preview of the alternative way to put the zipper stop on. And this is from that other video. So you would have, before you sew your sides together, you're just going to take a piece of paper or a piece of the same fabric that you're using, and this is about 1/4 of an inch wide by 1 inch long, and I'm just hot gluing it in half so that it's double thickness. And then I'm just going to hot glue it right to the end of that open end of the zipper. Really easy. And then I'm just going to flip it over and hot glue that side down. And that will just keep that zipper from pulling right off of the edge. And you can do this on the sewing version too if you like. Absolutely fine. But it works well for a nice zipper stop if you're shortening your zipper. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, this is going to be a series of pretty packaging. I love finding fun ways to package up my goodies and my swaps and gifts and cards. And I think this is a great method for all of those projects. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll have all those videos and products linked below the video. And here are some other videos that you might find fun. And I hope to see you in the next video, Pretty Packaging number 2. See ya. Bye-bye.